If you build on one sealed AI coding tool, you're probably betting your whole stack on one vendor's pricing. DeepSeek Harness swaps all 8 runtime layers while Claude Code stays sealed. 2 minutes reframes it. The obvious read is that this is just another coding tool. It isn't. The real fight is vendor lock-in and cost. One sealed vendor stack versus an open runtime you can fork and self-host. On August 13, 2026, DeepSeek shipped Harness under the MIT license. It hit 95,386 GitHub stars and 8,826 forks in about 2 days. That reaction is the story. Start with the architecture. Harness is built on a small core called Cordes. Cordes is a kernel that mounts, unmounts, and wires up parts on demand. And nearly everything sits behind a plugin boundary. The model that thinks, the tools it runs, the skills, sessions, and sandboxes, also storage, the main loop, scheduling, and even the UI. That's 8 kinds of moving parts. Every one can be pulled and replaced. Want a different models? Swap that plugin. Want your own memory store? Swap that one too. The kernel keeps the pieces from stepping on each other. Now the contrast. Claude Code from Anthropic took a different pass. It's one integrated agent. It defined this whole category. It shipped the connector standard called MCP, the Model Context Protocol. It shipped skills, hooks, and subagents. It's opinionated on purpose. You get the parts Anthropic chose. They're wired the way Anthropic wired them. That's a feature, not a flaw. Fewer decisions means fewer ways to break it. But it raises a sharp question. If the pieces are all glued together, what happens when you want out? That's the getting out question. It comes down to openness. Harness ships its full source under the MIT license. That means you can read every line. You can fork it. You can run it on your own servers. Claude Code is a proprietary product with a paid support tier. You get polish and a phone number, not the source. Here's the piece that makes forking actually useful. Everything the model sees gets written down. It all lands in one append-only session log. Think of a flight recorder for the agent. Every prompt, every tool call, every result in order, nothing overwritten. And 4 powerful moves run off that one log. You can resume a run where it stopped. You can fork it to try a different branch. You can search the whole history. You can replay it step by step. Because the record is complete and never edited, those replays are trustworthy. That's the payoff of writing everything down. But owning the runtime raises the next question. If you control the harness, what about the brain inside it? Now the brains. Which model runs inside? Harness is provider agnostic. Plain version, it doesn't marry one AI company. Its catalog drives Anthropic, OpenAI, AWS Bedrock, Microsoft Azure, and Google's Gemini Enterprise platform. It drives DeepSeek's own model too. Pointed at any OpenAI-compatible gateway, and that works as well. So one interface, many brains. And here's the twist that surprises people. Harness can run Claude Code or Codex as a subagent inside itself. The open runtime hands the hard job to the polished tool, then takes the answer back. It orchestrates from the outside. The sealed product becomes one worker it can call. Claude Code sits on the other side of this. It's a single vendor stack by design. One company builds the agent. One company makes the model. That tight coupling is exactly why it feels so smooth. Everything is tuned to everything else. So you're choosing between 2 shapes. One interface over many providers, or one company that owns the whole path. Which shape wins depends on something we haven't weighed yet. How finished is the open option really? So how finished is it? That's the maturity question, and it's the catch. Harness is a v0.1 developer preview. It ships with explicit breaking change warnings and no service guarantee. Translation, things can shift under you with no promised uptime. Claude Code is a production tool teams already ship real work with. Now the scores, and I'll name who published each one. On a test of fixing real bugs in real repositories, DeepSeek's own numbers put its V4 Pro model at about 80%. Anthropic's Claude Opus 5 is reported near 96% on that same test. But there's a harder version of it. On that tougher benchmark, DeepSeek reports its model at 55.4%, while a Claude model is reported at 80.3%. So on repo-scale software engineering, Claude leads. Flip to a different kind of task, though. On algorithmic coding puzzles and terminal work, DeepSeek's V4 Pro is reported ahead. The picture isn't one winner. It's a split in which half matters depends on your work. Notice what's happening. The open one trades polish for control. The sealed one trades control for polish. Neither is free. Every layer you get to swap is a layer you now have to maintain. So how should a real developer actually choose? Here's the whole machine clicking together. The choice isn't which is better. It's which trade you want. Reviewers say if you need a finished supported product today, stay on Claude Code. Pick Harness to own your stack, fork it, and run many providers behind one interface. And this is where lock-in turns into leverage. When you can swap the model layer, you're not married to any one company's pricing. Watch why that bites right now. Break time equals 0. 6 is slash on August 16, 2026, DeepSeek raised its API prices fourfold. At peak, V4 Pro output hit $3.96 per million tokens. That's the fee to generate roughly a million words of output. The old rate was 87 cents flat. If your runtime were sealed to that one model, you'd just eat the jump. With a swappable layer, you can route around it. An open runtime doesn't make model calls cheap by itself. It just means the exit door isn't welded shut. So there's your split. 8 swappable layers and 0 lock-in versus 1 sealed finished product. Choose on whether you value control or a done tool. Remember the split score too. 55.4% versus 80.3% on the hard test says the winner depends on the task. Subscribe and we'll open the next box together. This is information, not financial or career advice, so do your own research.